Okay, a little bit further into my series about the self-employment and kind of breaking out of the whole uh, idea of being, an employee of a single employer who you depend on. And I've been talking about in some of the other videos what I call tooling up. Okay, you have to be self-equipped in order to be able to function in this sort of thing because you need to be less dependent. And as far as negotiating goes with, any job, you need to be in a position to bring more to the table. Now, one of the things to take advantage of during the holiday season is at Home Depot, Lowe's is going to have very similar deals going on, is they have holiday promotions on tools, okay? Now, Ryobi is an Asian brand as far as power tools go, but it's also the store brand for Home Depot. What they do every holiday is they run promotional deals on these tools. That's how I started using it. Now, up to that point, I had been a DeWalt user. One of the things I ran into with DeWalt is that they are arguably the best or some of the best in the business with power tools, but they're expensive and they don't make everything, okay? Now, they have lately become much more cost competitive, and what I've been noticing is that between Home Depot and Lowe's, they run competitive but different package deals on the tools. So you end up shopping both. You're not going to have major brand loyalty for one store or the other. For example, I bought another toolkit at Lowe's, which was a $199 deal, which was basically this kit plus a Sawzall. Okay, this kit plus a Sawzall. I got 10% off and a veteran discount. Now, if there is a Home Depot within a short distance of a Lowe's, they're going to give that to all veterans. If there is only a Home Depot in a particular town and are sticklers about it, they're only going to give it to retired and disabled veterans or active duty personnel on an ID card. They probably do it for National Guard and Reserve. The type of card that I have shows that I'm a veteran, but I'm not a disabled veteran. And I was basically forced out of service before my retirement would have kicked in, which is a subject of other issues. But when you're trying to tool up, you would be looking at these tool systems. What I would recommend though, is you really want to look at all of the work that you would possibly end up doing. I would highly recommend going cordless because that means you're capable of working off grid. You're capable of doing, let's say, apartment rehab and outdoor work where the power has been turned off. It's just, for me, it's become really important to be able to work without having to stop and do power cords. The other thing is because copper's become more expensive, power cords add up, okay? So people complain about the cost of batteries, but remember, power cords add up, and if you're using plug-in-the-wall power tools, you need a bunch of power cords, and you need thick power cords, not these little lamp power cords, okay? You're going to be using power cords that are $50-$80 each. But when you pick a tool system, try to pick something that has a lot of tools. You're not likely to be able to do everything with one tool system, but you get into some of these combo packs like this $299 Ryobi one. Kind of hard to go wrong with that combo pack. And then you can add a few tools to it. You just realize no single company does everything. Not Ryobi, not Ridgid, not DeWalt, but you may find yourself wanting to focus on particular types of jobs. And if a particular company makes good tools that focus on those particular types of jobs, then you're fine. A lot of electricians I know are really happy with the Milwaukee cordless tools. They're really happy with the Milwaukee 18-volt system. Ridgid is good stuff. There's no doubt in my mind that Ridgid is as good as DeWalt. The thing is, there's certain cordless tools that DeWalt does that Ridgid doesn't do. Ridgid's actually a relatively narrow product line. They do all the basic stuff. They have a few specialized tools. They have a nailer that's one of the best in the business and very, very cost effective. Makita, good quality. One of the things I've been critical of is that apparently they have a battery compatibility issue between old models and new models. DeWalt's done that, but what they're doing is they're keeping old models in production. I discussed that in other videos. So if you're watching this video during the holiday season and you're looking to tool up and become more independent and do your own thing, Home Depot and Lowe's during the holiday season are going to have deals that are not a bullshit come on. They are deals that only run during the holiday season. They ramp up their orders and the production. They ramp up the orders and production on a lot of power tools just for the holiday season in the United States. The other thing is, a lot of times you're going to find some relatively knowledgeable people in the store who will show you what the deals are at any given time. Now, right here, it looks like all of the major tool brands that are the contractor grade stuff, you might say, are offering deals right now. So here you can see some pretty competitive deals, okay? Really competitive deals. You get either a high capacity battery or the Sawzall. And they mix and match differently. They do mix and match differently. A lot of times it kind of works out, but a lot of times, depending on how you shop it, you can end up with better deals with some than others. This is pretty good in your lower voltage toolkits. Milwaukee's supposedly, I don't personally use them, but I understand they're good stuff. You're going to be dealing with stores that are much more widely distributed than, let's say, Harbor Freight. I personally do buy a lot of stuff at Harbor Freight, but it pays to shop, okay? And one of the advantages of Home Depot having more stores and more locations, at least around the United States and Canada, is that you are in a better position to get warranty repair service on the stuff. However, I will strongly warn you, keep your receipts. I'm one of those guys where my receipt's in a trash can about as quickly as I walk out of the store. I've run into some problems with Home Depot on that. I bought tools that had a 3-year warranty. They were 2 years old. They'd only been on the market for 2 years. It was obviously, the tool was within its warranty period, and because it was the Home Depot store brand, basically, the Ryobi, they wouldn't cover it. Okay, I was screwed. And so, yeah, if you don't save your receipt, you're not the original customer, you're screwed. So you have to realize it. And that can vary a little bit from store to store, and it depends on whether or not it's a discontinued item. If it's a current item, I hate to say what we do. You buy another copy of it, you return the old one in the box. You know, that's only if you know and I know and we all know that we honestly paid for the original tool and they're just being jerks about it. Store managers will tell you the same thing. I would plead a fifth in order to, you know, I'm not going to say it was somebody at this store that told me that, but I've been in the retail business. I know people in the retail business. That's how it goes. So, you know, as far as tooling up, you got to think about what the common tools are for the types of jobs you're eventually going to focus on. But starting out, you're going to be going general purpose. You want to go broad based. I would say don't jump into a cordless tool system that's not been on the market for a little while. And then look into who has changed their battery design lately, and then make your own adult decisions on whether you want to use the new style or old style on the batteries. For example, DeWalt right now running 2 very different battery styles on their tools, whether it's the XRP series or the lithium ion series. Whether you're bouncing between lithium ion and XRP, you might as well bounce between brands. They are that different from each other. Almost nothing compatible between the two. And then when you're talking about saw blades, tool heads, cutting wheels, any of that sort of stuff, that's compatible from brand to brand anyway, and just doesn't matter which way you go. But what you eventually want to do is have standardized batteries. When you're looking at things like sawhorses and ladders, you know, that's your own personal choice. Obviously, it's quite a bit of a get what you pay for situation. You make your own decisions on that sort of a thing, and it's a get what you pay for situation. I'm not going to say anything's a good deal or a bad deal on that. And the other thing you can do in these stores, especially if you're a veteran, is you price the materials you're likely to be dealing with, things like windows and stuff like that. And if you've watched through this video far enough, I'm going to tell you one of the happy little secrets that we have when we're dealing with purchasing materials for a project. Okay, there's different ways that you can get a 10% discount at Home Depot and Lowe's, okay? The veterans discount's one of them. Using the store credit card is another one of them. Having a contractor's account with a store is one of them. It is entirely normal and appropriate to price everything out with the price that's on the shelf, and then when you go to the client with a proposal and an estimate, and that's an estimate, okay, it's not always a promise, because cost of materials does fluctuate. And if you have a client who doesn't understand that cost of material fluctuates, you want to eventually avoid dealing with people like that. Okay, I avoid dealing with people like that. If somebody's going to negotiate cost of materials with me, if I'm desperate, I'll do business with them. You know, I'll tell you right now. If I'm desperate, I'll deal with it. As soon as I'm no longer desperate, I won't even answer the phone for those people. Okay, I'm not going to fuck around with it. Now, what you can do in these situations, though, is if you are the guy doing the shopping and you manage to get a discount, that's you. Okay, that's some value that you have acquired in a deal. Joe Schmo walking in the door pays the sticker price for the stuff. On that difference between the price, a lot of times, especially if you're spending, $800, $900, $1,100, $1,200, $1,500 on stuff, and you've got that 10% leeway that's going to happen in that stuff, well, there's your tool budget, okay? Especially if it has to do with tools which are specific to the job that you're doing, okay? If those tools are specific to the job that you're doing, there's your tool budget. It's just in the discount. Now, if you have a client who's kind of like saying, hey, wait a minute, man, I spent $1,200. I realize you got a $120 little kickback going on to the store, then share it with the client. Or make sure that what you're mixing into everything are disposable tools, saw blades, cutting wheels, some of the expendable items that go with the job, because you have to have those in the cost of the job. Remember, you need to charge a little bit more money because you're covering the costs on those things, and you're treading at gray area between being an employee and a contractor by being a self-equipped guy for hire. So when you get into this stuff, you got to realize that sometimes, like over here in this stuff, if you're buying hose fittings, like I buy plumbing hose fittings, and personally I stay away from plumbing work these days. But a lot of times when you're buying these things, you're buying. All right. A lot of times you're buying a package of something, and you're not going to use everything out of that package. So you keep the leftovers. Sometimes the client wants all the leftover pieces just in case they need to change something out later on. Other times you keep that, and that really varies a little bit. With my people, I try to do, kind of play it forward with them, because it does reach a point where you got to have several different sizes of screws and nuts and little fittings and flanges and all these little things, and then it gets to be a bit of a burden to carry them around in the truck all the time. But it gets to be an advantage, especially once you're focusing on one particular type of work. It gets to be an advantage to have those, and you're saving the trips to the store. You're not having to make trips to the store for all that stuff. So don't abuse your right to shop, let's say, on an employer's credit card, and just try to stock up on a bunch of extras. That's not cool. And but as far as getting a deal on a larger box and then using what's left out of the box, that's normal. Okay, if somebody thinks that's theft, they're really pushing it. And again, I would say that's the type of client you maybe want to avoid in the future. But they would also have the right to ask for, everything left out of the box, unless you're using stuff that was left over from other people's jobs, and you just explain, hey, listen, we play it forward on these things, and we kind of average out certain consumable material costs. But when you start adding up the cost, try to get in the middle of the deal where you're there when a client's buying the materials, you're getting a discount, and then share that discount with the client and then kind of put some of that into your tool budget, especially for some of these incidental items that are like $10, $15, $18 items. They can add up when you're having to buy those all the time. When you're throwing those into a $1,000 client deal with a big box store, and then you're getting those covered. That's one of the advantage, because they're buying materials and tools at the same place. It just, you're pushing your luck to put a $300 nail gun into that. But as far as, a trowel or a rake or shovel or, a special, socket for doing these little kitchen sink faucets or something like that, that's normal and appropriate, as long as you keep it under control and keep it under whatever the discount is that you're getting for the stuff. So that's one aspect of tooling up when you're getting started in the the whole kind of self-employment handyman type trade with the big box stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, similar stores overseas. Try to get into their affinity card program, the discount program, stuff like that, and then use that to fund at least your small to middling tool purchases, maybe even help subsidize larger tool purchases when you're in the midst of purchasing materials, especially high dollar materials where the discounts really make a difference.